What's up, Marvel fans? I'm Steven from the Hills Maniacs, and the next Marvel movie that's coming out this year is Thunderbolts with an asterisk. And basically in that movie, it's going to kind of be like the Suicide Squad, I guess, based off of what I've seen from the trailers and everything. These group of villains or morally ambiguous characters from the MCU are all sent somewhere to track something down or kill somebody, whatever, but they're all it's a trap basically to take them all out at the same time, I assume, which is kind of the same premise as the Suicide Squad movies for DC were. It was all these villains that were forced to team up together to take down an even worse villain, kind of thing. And that's what I think they're going for here with this movie. But when you look at the people that they put in this movie, the characters that they are using that are going to be part of the Thunderbolts team, I guess you could call it. The people that they chose to be part of this team, I guess Bucky Barnes will be the Winter Soldier. You got John Walker from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was like the fake Captain America or whatever that kind of went evil by the end and went insane, sort of. You got Yelena Bolova, which is Natasha Romanoff's sister, the new Black Widow, I guess, if you would. You got Red Guardian, which of course is Yelena's father, Alexei Shostakov, or however you pronounce it. And then we got Ghost and Taskmaster. Taskmaster obviously was last seen in the Black Widow movie, and Ghost, of course, was from Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then they have one new character, I guess his name's Sentry, that they're going to be introducing in this as well. And when you look at that character lineup, it kind of just seems odd. I get a lot of those characters are sort of spies or whatever, those kind of characters where they would be assigned something from the government or some shady organization to go do something. You got Bucky, who was the Winter Soldier. That was his thing. He was secretly working for Hydra. He was brainwashed by Hydra, to go kill people and that sort of thing. And he was like a trained assassin. And that's kind of what all of these characters are for the most part. But in my opinion, it didn't really make... Some of these characters being part of this team didn't really make any sense. I'm sure a lot of people talked about this when they first showed the footage for this movie, or at least introduced what the movie was going to be about and who was going to be in it and all that kind of stuff. So today I'm going to be talking about some characters that I feel should have been part of the Thunderbolts team instead of the ones that they went with. So first of all, if the Thunderbolts team is meant to kind of be almost like the Dark Avengers, it feels like that's what they were kind of going for at first. They were going to try and form this sort of anti-Avengers group, which I guess in the comics does happen. And we know that Valentina Allegra de Fontaine is in this movie, and I guess she's probably going to be revealed to be the one that hired them to go on this mission. And we obviously know she's up to some shady business because she's the one that brought in John Walker and turned him into U.S. agent instead of Captain America and all that stuff. We saw her talk to Yelena at the end of the Black Widow movie and try and get her to go kill Clint Barton because he killed her sister, after the events of Endgame. So with that in mind, I would keep Yelena Bolova on this team, just because she's like the Black Widow type thing, and she's got that spy sort of background and that kind of stuff. With her training and everything, and we know that she's working for Val, so I think having Yelena still kind of working for her, I think it makes sense that she's in this, and she just doesn't realize, what's going on, I guess, because she is one of those characters that, was sort of brainwashed, but, she kind of had her redemption arc sort of just in the Black Widow movie. She doesn't really feel like a villain, but I can see her being that, she's conflicted between being a villain and a hero. She's just doing whatever she can to survive, so to speak, or to make money or whatever. And on that same note, also, John Walker, I think, was a perfect choice for this as well. He's that character that's they tried to give him a redemption arc by the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but he straight up killed a dude with Captain America's shield. So I don't think that can be redeemed, honestly. But I do think his character is kind of interesting to see how he was kind of going psychotic by the end of that series and stuff, because he felt like, the government was making him be Captain America. So he even got the super soldier serum and everything to really hone in on playing that role and being that person being Captain America, and when that was kind of taken away from him, he sort of snapped, and now he doesn't really have a purpose, I guess. So this can kind of, seeing this as kind of his new purpose, I guess makes sense. So I would leave him on the team as well. And I would also leave Taskmaster in there. I just feel like, her character was kind of wasted in Black Widow, so you might as well just throw her in this. I don't know how exactly Val met her. Maybe she reaches out to her through Yelena or something. Because when we last saw Taskmaster, she went away with the Black Widows, I believe, at the end of the Black Widow movie, and she was going to go out and try to track down the other widows that were still out there, I believe. She was going to help them. So she was kind of also redeemed by the end of the movie, I guess, because Natasha spared her life. But I think she, just like John Walker, also doesn't really have her own kind of purpose. So seeing her pop back up again, I think is an okay choice. And this seems like the perfect movie to do that in. I hope they at least give her more of a role in this movie compared to what they did in Black Widow. Because Taskmaster is an interesting villain, I think, in the comics and stuff. And even some of the video games, like you're playing against him. Her ability to sort of adapt to any situation, read a specific person's fight patterns and all that kind of stuff and study it and fight using that same fight pattern, I think, and mimic that, I think is a really cool concept for a character, and I hope that gets more explored in this movie as well. So I would leave her on the team also. But now we get into some of my changes. I would take out Bucky, because he's definitely had that redemption arc, and we've seen that. We appreciated that, the way his character went from being the Winter Soldier to just being a hero and everything and helping out the Avengers and all that stuff. He's come a long way, and we saw that the brainwashing was removed from him, or, by the Wakandans and stuff. They helped him get rid of that. So he was no longer under the spell of Hydra, essentially. And I know in the trailers it looks like he's sent to kill these other members of the Thunderbolts team, and I guess maybe he's going to have a change of heart and align with them because something's suspicious is going on or whatever. But it still doesn't seem like he would need to be in this movie, because we've seen him as a good person. Now, I don't think he would really be working for the government like they're saying he is in this movie, because I guess he's like a government agent. I don't see him wanting to do that, especially after Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think him just going off on his own separate adventure or whatever would have been better. He's kind of seems out of place to me in this movie, so I would replace him with Zemo, actually. I know Zemo got arrested by the Wakandans, I guess, and ended up in a Wakandan prison, but I could see Val pulling some strings to get him out of there somehow. I think just the way Zemo's able to plan things and think 3 steps ahead of people, which we saw in Captain America Civil War, all the planning and the stages and everything that he had to do to get the events to play out the way that he wanted them to get Iron Man and Captain America to fight against each other, to tear down the Avengers because of what happened to his family in one of their battles. I thought they did really well showing that, but I think because of his skill set and everything else, I think Val would have wanted him to be part of this squad. He could be their leader for this squad and everything else, and maybe be the one to realize that everything's not what it seems here, and the one that turns everybody to realize that they're being sent into their own demise, basically. I think it would have made more sense to have him in this movie compared to Bucky Barnes. And now this one's actually interesting. I would put Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming on this team. I think his use of, technology and everything else to build the Vulture suit, and he was really good at, him and his group really, I guess, were good at assembling technology that was taken from the Avengers battles and stuff and turning it into their own weapons and that kind of stuff. I think that's a valuable asset that I think Val would really be looking into. The way he's able to steal things and break into places and all that kind of stuff, how skilled of a thief that he was, I think that would be something they would have wanted, or they would have needed, especially since this group has to break into a place or whatever. I would have put Vulture on this team compared to Ghost or something. I just don't think they used Ghost enough really for us to care about her as a character. So replace her with Vulture, I think. And you'd have the chance to bring back Michael Keaton to be among this group of actors. I think that would kind of elevate the movie a little bit more. And then this last one's a bit of a stretch. He's not really replacing anybody necessarily, but I would have just liked to have seen the Punisher, played by Jon Bernthal, who's apparently returning in Daredevil Born Again. He was also part of season 2 of Daredevil on Netflix and had his own spin-off series as part of that Defenders saga as well. And I think seeing him in a movie for the first time as this character within the MCU, I think would have been a really shocking twist that nobody would have seen coming. All of a sudden, the Punisher is part of this group. He could be the one that sort of replaces Winter Soldier almost, this skilled, vigilante, almost assassin, former military guy that he was in the Daredevil series and all that. His skills with weaponry and everything else, and he just doesn't seem to really care if he gets hurt or not. He's kind of suicidal in a way. He just goes out into war and goes to war with people without really thinking and all that stuff. And I thought he was a really cool character, and Jon Bernthal did a really good job playing that character. I would have liked to have seen him make his MCU debut in a movie, and I think this one would have fit perfectly with that dynamic of all these characters skilled assassins and spies and all that kind of stuff. So to have someone with his skill level of being, of using weapons and all that stuff, because then it would kind of introduce people who haven't seen the Daredevil Netflix series to this character, and then show him showing up in that show. I think it would have been a nice introduction for the character in the MCU. But there you go, guys. Those were just some of the replacements I would have made if I was making the Thunderbolts movie. Some of the characters I would have used instead of the ones that they already have announced that are going to be in the movie. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Do you agree with any of my picks, or who would you have picked to be part of the Thunderbolts lineup instead of the ones we're getting? Let me know all that down in the comments section. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more, and check out all the other Marvel content we've uploaded this year as well. Thank you for watching the video, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.